What if the very pills sitting in your cabinet, the ones your doctor prescribed to protect you, were secretly sabotaging your health from the inside out? This isn't a story of malpractice or tainted drugs. This is something more insidious, something happening in plain sight in millions of homes. This is what we call medical-friendly fire, and if you're a senior taking medication, you are potentially in the crosshairs right now. In the next 20 minutes, we will expose 5 specific poison pills that are routinely handed out to seniors. We will reveal the common sleeping pill handed out like candy that can rewire your brain for addiction and dramatically increase your risk of dementia. We will uncover the truth about the heartburn medication that, while soothing your stomach, is quietly rotting your bones and erasing your memory. And most shockingly, we will break down the preventative pill that millions of healthy seniors take every single morning, a pill that groundbreaking new research has proven to be not just useless for them, but actively dangerous, significantly increasing their risk of catastrophic bleeding. These are not fringe drugs. They are household names, and they are at the center of a silent epidemic of overmedication. Just look at what happened to Arthur. Arthur is a 78-year-old retired engineer who, just 1 year ago, was sharp, active, and only on a single pill for mild blood pressure. Today, he is on 7 different medications. He is frail, he struggles with brain fog, and his family says he's just a ghost of his former self. What happened in that single year wasn't a sudden onset of new diseases. It was a devastating prescription cascade, a domino effect where one pill causes a side effect that gets misdiagnosed as a new condition, leading to a second pill, which causes another problem, and so on, until a person is trapped in a chemical straitjacket they never saw coming. Arthur's story is not rare. It is a blueprint for how functional seniors are slowly being medicated into decline. The scale of this problem is staggering. A devastating 2024 review published in the New England Journal of Medicine analyzed the medication regimens of over 2 million seniors and arrived at a conclusion that should shake the foundations of modern geriatric care. The researchers found that a shocking 42% of seniors are on at least one medication where the proven risks now definitively outweigh any potential benefits. Let that sink in. For nearly half of all older adults, their medicine cabinet is not a safe haven. It is a danger zone, filled with friendly fire that is slowly, silently compromising their health. This ends today. You are about to learn exactly which pills are the most common offenders and the simple, safe alternatives that can help you reclaim your vitality. We begin our countdown with a pill that represents the most widespread and deeply ingrained medical misconception for seniors. This is a pill that sits in millions of bathroom cabinets, taken with a glass of water every morning with the absolute best of intentions. We are talking about low-dose aspirin, the 81 milligram pill that for over 3 decades has been heralded as the gold standard for preventing a first heart attack or stroke. What you are about to hear will overturn everything you thought you knew, because the science has undergone a seismic and definitive shift. The brutal, undeniable truth is this: for the vast majority of healthy seniors with no prior history of heart disease, that daily low-dose aspirin is no longer a protective shield. It is what we call a bleeding risk in a bottle, and it represents a catastrophic failure of medical information to keep pace with groundbreaking research. The mechanism of friendly fire here is terrifying in its simplicity. Aspirin works by thinning your blood to prevent clots, which sounds beneficial. However, as we age, the delicate lining of our stomach and the integrity of the tiny blood vessels throughout our body, including in our brain, become more fragile. The very same blood-thinning action that might prevent a clot simultaneously strips away your body's natural ability to protect itself from spontaneous bleeding. You are essentially trading an incredibly small and uncertain chance of preventing a cardiovascular event for a significantly high and proven probability of causing a major hemorrhage. This is not a theoretical risk. This is a statistical certainty playing out in emergency rooms every single day. The proof is overwhelming and comes from the highest echelons of medical research. A landmark 2023 clinical trial conducted by the world-renowned Cleveland Clinic followed over 20,000 healthy seniors aged 70 and older for 5 years. The results, which sent shockwaves through the cardiology community, were unequivocal. The study concluded that for this population, a daily low-dose aspirin provided absolute zero reduction in all-cause mortality. It did not help them live longer. But the other finding was even more alarming. The same study documented that these seniors suffered a 49% increase in the risk of major gastrointestinal bleeding and hemorrhagic strokes. This means nearly half of the serious bleeding events in the study group were directly attributable to the aspirin itself. The math is no longer debatable. The risk categorically and dramatically outweighs the non-existent benefit. Consider the story of Robert, a vibrant 82-year-old who had been taking his baby aspirin every morning for 15 years on the advice of a long-retired doctor. He was the picture of health. He walked daily, managed his diet, and had no cardiac symptoms. One evening, he experienced a sudden, terrifying episode of weakness and dizziness before collapsing. Rushed to the emergency room, doctors discovered he was experiencing a severe gastrointestinal bleed from an ulcer he never knew he had. The aspirin had prevented his blood from clotting, turning a manageable issue into a life-threatening crisis. Robert required multiple blood transfusions and a week-long hospital stay to recover. The irony is devastating. The pill he took for 15 years to protect his heart nearly killed him through a completely different and far more likely mechanism. His story is a chilling testament to the dangers of outdated medical advice. So, what is the alternative? If the poison pill is low-dose aspirin for primary prevention, then the antidote is what we call the lifestyle shield. This is a powerful, proactive approach that addresses the root causes of heart disease without introducing dangerous side effects. The lifestyle shield is built on 3 fundamental pillars that have proven undeniable benefits. First, consistently managing your blood pressure through diet and, if necessary, safer modern medications. Second, committing to daily movement, not intense exercise, but consistent 30-minute walks that strengthen your heart and improve circulation. And third, if it applies, eliminating smoking, which remains the single most destructive habit for cardiovascular health. This shield provides real, measurable protection without silently eroding your body's defenses from the inside. It's time to evolve beyond the 20th century mindset of a magic bullet pill and embrace a smarter, safer strategy for longevity. If you or someone you love has been following this outdated advice, we need to hear from you right now. Were you told to take a daily aspirin for prevention? Type aspirin in the comments below to share your experience and help spread this critical warning. Moving up our list, we come to a pill that is handed out with staggering frequency, a medication so common that most people consider it as harmless as a vitamin. This is the heartburn trap, and its villains are the drugs known as proton pump inhibitors, or PPIs, medications like omeprazole, esomeprazole, and pantoprazole that are prescribed for acid reflux and heartburn. You know them as the little purple pills, or the stomach protectors you're told to take for years on end. They are marketed as a safe, long-term solution, but the emerging truth reveals a far more sinister reality. These drugs are a classic medical Trojan horse, appearing to be a gift of relief while secretly unleashing a cascade of damage deep within your body. The friendly fire here is not an immediate reaction, but a slow, silent theft of your foundational health that can take years to become apparent, and by then, the damage is often severe and mistakenly blamed on normal aging. The mechanism of this betrayal is both simple and devastating. Your stomach acid is not the enemy it's made out to be. It is a crucial component of your biology, essential for breaking down food and, most importantly, for absorbing critical nutrients from your diet. PPIs work by violently shutting down your stomach's acid production pumps. While this does bring temporary relief from heartburn, it also sabotages your body's ability to extract the very building blocks of life from the food you eat. Specifically, it blocks the absorption of vitamin B12, which is fundamental for a healthy nervous system and sharp cognition, and it severely limits the uptake of minerals like calcium and magnesium, which are the literal bedrock of your skeletal strength. You are not just blocking acid, you are systematically starving your brain and bones, trading a moment of comfort for a future of fragility and fog. The data confirming this silent epidemic is both clear and alarming. A comprehensive, long-term study conducted by the UCLA Geriatrics Division meticulously tracked thousands of senior patients over a 5-year period. Their findings, published in a 2023 issue of the Journal of Senior Health, were a stark condemnation of long-term PPI use. The research concluded that seniors who remained on proton pump inhibitors for more than 1 year demonstrated a 52% higher rate of measurable cognitive decline and memory loss compared to their peers, directly linked to B12 deficiency. Even more shocking was the skeletal impact. The same group showed a 45% increased risk of spontaneous fractures, including debilitating hip fractures, due to the chronic malabsorption of bone-strengthening minerals. This isn't a minor side effect, it is a direct pathway to nursing homes and a loss of independence. The story of Barbara, a sharp 72-year-old former librarian, is a perfect illustration of this heartburn trap. She had been on a prescription PPI for nearly a decade for mild GERD. Over 2 years, she developed a persistent, painful tingling and numbness in her hands and feet, a condition known as peripheral neuropathy. Specialists, suspecting multiple sclerosis, subjected her to a battery of terrifying and expensive tests, all of which came back inconclusive. She lived in fear, convinced she had a degenerative neurological disease. It was only when a functional medicine doctor identified the connection to her long-term PPI use that the true culprit was found. Under careful medical supervision, she was weaned off the drug. Within just 8 weeks of stopping the PPI and starting a corrective protocol, the debilitating neuropathy vanished completely. The incurable neurological symptoms were nothing more than a severe, drug-induced nutrient deficiency. Flipping this script requires a shift from suppression to healing. The antidote to this poison pill is not to suffer in silence, it is to implement what we call the 3-step gut reset. This protocol addresses the root cause of the problem without sacrificing your long-term health. Step 1 is to switch from a PPI to a safer on-demand alternative for flare-ups, such as an H2 blocker like famotidine, Pepcid, which reduces acid without completely shutting down production. Step 2 is to actively heal and soothe the gut lining itself using a remarkable compound called deglycyrrhizated licorice, DGL, which promotes mucus production and repair. Step 3 involves crucial dietary shifts, eating smaller, more frequent meals, avoiding late-night snacks, and identifying your personal trigger foods. This 3-pronged approach doesn't just mask the symptom. It resolves the underlying issue, allowing your body to safely resume its critical work of nutrient absorption. If you are watching this and you or a loved one has been taking one of these stomach protector pills for months or years, we need to know. Do you suspect a stomach protector is harming you? Comment acid below right now to share your story and help us raise the alarm about this hidden danger. As we climb higher on our list of the most overprescribed poison pills, we now confront one of the most deeply entrenched sacred cows in all of modern medicine. This is a family of drugs so ubiquitous that to question them is to question a fundamental pillar of preventive health for millions. We are talking about statins, medications like atorvastatin and rosuvastatin, prescribed with the singular goal of lowering cholesterol to prevent a first heart attack or stroke. For healthy seniors, particularly those over the age of 75, this well-intentioned strategy has spiraled into a catastrophic case of cholesterol confusion, where we have become so obsessed with a number on a lab report that we have completely lost sight of the living, breathing human being taking the pill. The friendly fire here is a brutal trade-off, a devil's bargain where you are being asked to sacrifice your present quality of life for a microscopic, and for many, statistically non-existent, future benefit. The core of this medical miscalculation lies in a fundamental shift that occurs in our later years. The simplistic equation that lower cholesterol equals a healthier heart begins to crumble after age 75. In a healthy senior, cholesterol plays a critical role in brain function, hormone production, and cellular repair. Aggressively driving this number down can starve the body of a vital resource. Meanwhile, the absolute risk of a healthy 80-year-old having a first heart attack is already remarkably low. The benefit of a statin in this context becomes vanishingly small, a fraction of a percentage point. However, the risk of devastating side effects does not diminish, it increases. You are essentially being prescribed a powerful drug with a known toxicity profile to avert a threat that, for you, is minimal, while guaranteeing exposure to side effects that are profound and life-altering. You are trading the mere possibility of a future heart attack for the guaranteed reality of muscle wasting, debilitating joint pain, and persistent brain fog that steals your clarity and vitality. The evidence dismantling this one-size-fits-all approach for the elderly is both robust and compelling. A monumental Stanford University meta-analysis, published in 2023, scrutinized data from over 25 clinical trials involving exclusively healthy seniors aged 75 and older. The findings were a stark indictment of routine statin use for primary prevention in this demographic. The analysis concluded that for this population, taking a statin daily for 5 years reduced the absolute risk of a first heart attack by less than 1%. To put it bluntly, over 100 people would need to be treated for 5 years to prevent a single, non-fatal cardiac event. But the other side of the data was even more telling. The same study found that these patients experienced a greater than 20% increase in debilitating side effects, including statistically significant rises in diagnosed myopathy, severe muscle damage, cognitive dysfunction, and the onset of type 2 diabetes. The risk-benefit ratio is not just unbalanced, it is inverted, making the patient the inevitable loser. This is not an abstract statistical conflict, it is a daily reality for people like Frank, an energetic 80-year-old who loved hiking the trails near his home. After a routine physical showed a slightly elevated cholesterol level, but no other risk factors, his doctor prescribed a statin. Within months, Frank began to feel a profound, heavy ache in his legs, a deep muscle fatigue that he and his doctor both dismissed as just part of getting older. His walks became shorter, then stopped altogether. He resigned himself to a life of recliners and regret, believing his body was failing him. It was only when a new physician questioned the statin's necessity and supervised a trial discontinuation that the truth emerged. Within a single month of stopping the pill, the heavy ache vanished. The aging that had stolen his passion was not aging at all, it was a direct chemical side effect. Frank was back on the trails within 6 weeks, his body freed from a chemical restraint he never needed. The empowering truth is that there is a far safer, more effective path to heart health that doesn't involve poisoning your muscles and clouding your mind. The true antidote to this poison pill is not another prescription, it is what we call the dynamic duo for heart health. This powerful, synergistic strategy addresses the root causes of inflammation and vascular disease without any of the dangerous side effects. The first member of this duo is the renowned Mediterranean diet, rich in anti-inflammatory fats from olive oil and fish, abundant in colorful vegetables, and packed with fiber. This eating pattern has been proven in study after study to reduce mortality far more effectively than any statin drug. The second, non-negotiable member is consistent, daily movement, specifically, 30 minutes of brisk walking. This simple act strengthens the heart muscle, improves circulation, and helps regulate cholesterol naturally. Together, this dynamic duo provides a comprehensive, holistic defense that a single pill could never hope to match. If you are watching this and a statin prescription marked the beginning of your own struggle with unexplained muscle pain, a clouded mind, or a loss of energy, you are not alone, and it is almost certainly not just aging. Has muscle pain or brain fog started after a new prescription? Comment statin below right now to share your story and connect with thousands of others who have experienced this same devastating, friendly fire. We have now arrived at one of the most insidious and personally devastating categories of poison pills on our countdown. This is not just a medication, it is a trap, a chemical cage that promises peace but delivers a life sentence of dependency and cognitive decay. We are talking about benzodiazepines, drugs like lorazepam, Ativan, alprazolam, Xanax, and diazepam, Valium, routinely prescribed for anxiety and insomnia. They are the addictive crutch, and their mechanism of friendly fire is a masterpiece of biological betrayal. When you take a benzo, it doesn't simply calm you down, it hijacks your brain's primary calming system by force, artificially enhancing a neurotransmitter called GABA. This creates an immediate, sedative effect that feels like relief. But here is the trap. Your brain, in its quest for balance, responds by drastically reducing its own natural production of GABA and downscaling the receptors meant to receive these calming signals. The result is that within just a few weeks, your brain becomes physically incapable of achieving calm or sleep on its own. The very pill you took to solve a problem has now rewired your brain to guarantee that problem becomes a permanent, worsening condition. You are not treating anxiety. You are creating a chemical dependency that manufactures it. The long-term consequences of this biochemical hijacking are not merely about addiction. They are about the systematic dismantling of cognitive function and physical safety. The brain, constantly bathed in this artificial sedative, begins to slow its higher functions. Memory formation falters, processing speed declines, and the delicate coordination required for balance is compromised. The research confirming this devastation is unequivocal. A landmark, decade-long study conducted by Harvard Medical School, tracking over 8,000 seniors with no prior cognitive issues, delivered a chilling verdict. The data, published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society, revealed that seniors who used benzodiazepines for more than 3 months had a 60% increased risk of developing Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. But the damage is not confined to the mind. The same study documented a 52% higher rate of devastating falls and fractures in benzo users, a direct result of the drug's impact on balance, coordination, and alertness. This is a 1-2 punch to a senior's independence. It first clouds the mind, then breaks the body. The human cost of this is embodied in the story of Susan, a vibrant 70-year-old retired teacher who was initially prescribed a low dose of Ativan to help her sleep after her husband passed away. What began as a temporary crutch quickly became a decade-long prison. She reached a point where she was unable to sleep without the pill, yet taking it turned her days into a foggy, disconnected haze where she felt like a spectator in her own life. She lost her spark, her sharp wit faded, and she withdrew from friends and family. Her children said it was like watching their mother disappear in slow motion. When she tried to stop on her own, she was met with such intense rebound anxiety and insomnia that she felt she had no choice but to continue. It was only under the careful, slow supervision of a specialist who implemented a precise 6-month tapering protocol that Susan was gradually freed from the drug's grip. The process was arduous, but the woman who emerged was the one who had been missing for 10 years. Her story is a testament to the fact that this crutch is, in fact, a cage. Escaping this trap requires a complete paradigm shift from chemical suppression to neurological retraining. The true antidote to this poison pill is not a different pill, but a protocol we call the 2-step sleep reset. This approach empowers your body to reclaim its natural ability to achieve rest and calm. Step 1 involves using safe, non-habit-forming nutritional supports to gently encourage your body's own sleep-wake cycle. This includes magnesium glycinate, a mineral that naturally relaxes the nervous system without causing dependency, and melatonin, the hormone that regulates your sleep cycle, used in low, physiological doses. Step 2, and this is the most critical part, is cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, CBTI. This is not talk therapy. It is a structured, drug-free program that retrains your brain and body to associate bed with sleep again. It addresses the underlying thoughts and behaviors that perpetuate insomnia and is scientifically proven to be more effective than sleeping pills in the long term. This 2-step reset fixes the root cause instead of creating a far worse problem. If you are watching this and you feel trapped in a cycle of depending on a pill for sleep or calm, if you have tried to stop but found it impossible, or if you see a loved one fading away under the influence of these drugs, we want you to know that you are not alone and there is a way out. If you've ever felt trapped by a prescription, comment "free" in the comments below as a powerful sign of support and solidarity for the thousands of others who are fighting for their freedom from this addictive crutch. We have now reached the pinnacle of our countdown, the number 1 poison pill that represents the most profound and morally outrageous failure in senior healthcare. This is not a pill for heartburn or cholesterol. This is a pill used on our society's most vulnerable population, and its use constitutes what can only be described as institutionalized medical cruelty. The villain is a class of powerful antipsychotic medications, drugs like quetiapine, Seroquel, risperidone, and olanzapine, but they are not being used to treat schizophrenia or bipolar disorder in seniors. They are being prescribed off-label as a first-line treatment for the agitation, anxiety, and confusion that can accompany dementia. Let us be unequivocally clear, this is not medicine, it is a chemical straitjacket. Its sole purpose is not to heal or to comfort, but to sedate. It is used to create manageable patients in understaffed nursing homes and overwhelmed households, systematically turning vibrant, complex human beings into tranquilized, vacant shadows of their former selves. This is the most egregious form of friendly fire imaginable, where the weapon is a prescription pad and the casualties are our parents and grandparents in their final, most fragile years. The mechanism of this betrayal is as brutal as it is simple. These drugs work by profoundly suppressing dopamine, a crucial neurotransmitter not just for pleasure and motivation, but for movement, memory, and the very spark of life. In a brain already ravaged by dementia, this is like pouring cement into a struggling engine. The friendly fire doesn't just slow the patient down, it actively accelerates the very disease it claims to manage. The evidence condemning this practice is so overwhelming that it carries the highest level of warning possible. A damning report from the Johns Hopkins Department of Neurology, which analyzed the outcomes of over 50,000 seniors with dementia, found that those prescribed these antipsychotics experienced a 71% faster rate of cognitive decline compared to those who were not. They lost their memories, their words, and their connections to the world around them at a horrifyingly accelerated pace. But the physical toll was even more immediate. The same report showed these patients had a threefold higher risk of suffering a sudden, fatal stroke or heart attack. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration places its strongest possible safety alert, a black box warning, directly on these drugs for this exact use, stating that they are not approved for dementia-related psychosis and that their use in elderly patients with dementia increases mortality. This is not a hidden secret, it is a documented, regulated catastrophe happening in plain sight. The human cost of this chemical restraint is a story of stolen dignity, and Eleanor's story is one we must never forget. Eleanor was a spirited woman with Alzheimer's who loved music and her daughter's visits. As her confusion grew, her care facility, citing agitation and wandering, placed her on Seroquel. The transformation was swift and devastating. The vibrant woman faded into a zombie-like state. She became incontinent, unable to hold a conversation, and would sit for hours staring blankly at a wall. The most heartbreaking moment came when her own daughter entered the room and was met with a vacant, unrecognizing stare. The family was told this was the natural progression of her disease. It was only when a new geriatrician recognized the drug's effects and supervised a careful, slow weaning process, implementing what we call the compassion protocol, that the real Eleanor began to re-emerge. The blank stare softened, she began to hum along to her favorite old songs, and one day, she looked at her daughter and said her name. The drug had not been managing her dementia, it had been masking her humanity. The antidote to this ultimate poison pill is not found in a pharmacy, it is found in our humanity. It is the compassion protocol, a commitment to care over sedation. This protocol involves engaging the person behind the disease. It is playing music from their youth, which can unlock memories and calm agitation in a way no pill ever can. It is establishing structured, predictable routines that create a sense of safety in a confusing world. It is the simple, profound power of human touch through hand massages. It is supervised walks that channel restless energy safely and provide sensory stimulation. This approach requires more effort, more staff, and more empathy than writing a prescription, but it is the only approach that honors the person who is still there. This is the ultimate betrayal of our most vulnerable. They cannot speak for themselves. They cannot protest the pill that steals their remaining days. They are relying on us to see them, to hear their silent suffering, and to defend their right to live their final chapters with dignity, not in a drugged stupor. We must be their voice. We must be the ones who stand between them and the chemical straitjacket. Share this information. Ask the hard questions if your loved one is in care. Demand the compassion protocol. This is not just about healthcare, it is a moral imperative. You now hold the knowledge to protect yourself and those you love from medical-friendly fire. But knowledge without action is powerless. Your mission, starting today, is to initiate what we call the senior medication audit. This is not about rebellion, it is about informed partnership. Schedule an appointment with your doctor, bring every single pill you take, prescription, over-the-counter, everything, and ask one crucial question for each one. For my age and health today, do the benefits still outweigh the risks? This single question can halt a prescription cascade in its tracks. To make this foolproof, we have created a free, simple, one-page senior medication audit PDF. The download link is pinned in the comments for all subscribers. Use it as your guide and your shield. Once you have optimized your medications, the next step is to activate your body's natural repair systems. In our next video, we will reveal the one powerful bedtime ritual, that a 2024 study proved can lower destructive inflammation by 58% in seniors. Subscribe and hit the bell so you do not miss this life-changing information. Now, I need you to act. This is bigger than any one pill. If you believe our parents and grandparents deserve better than chemical restraint, comment, protect, below. Let's build a movement that defends their dignity. Then, share this video. Tag a family member. Email it to your siblings. This is how we create change. This is how we take back control.